Congratulations, you just ran a marathon. Woohoo! Party time! And now, after all those months of training and the hype surrounding the race and the jubilation of crossing the finish line, you're asking yourself, now what? And I actually have an answer for you because I'm in the same boat, so let's do this together. This can be a really weird time, that in between two big races. Because it's the fall for me right now as I'm filming this, I just ran a marathon in October and my next marathon isn't until April 2023. So I have almost exactly 6 months in between. And if we're talking about going into the winter, a lot of times we don't have anything coming up. Or a lot of times runners like that big space in between, and maybe they'll pop into a 5K here or there just to get some accessory work. But there's this kind of awkward, big, long chunk of time that you don't really know what to do with until you can really start getting into that marathon training again. And you had such momentum going with doing all your long runs and your training for months, and it feels really weird and, too unsettling to just come to a halt. So there's definitely lots of things we can be doing to feel like we're being productive and maintaining some of that fitness while not overdoing ourselves and burning out because we're doing too much too quickly. But before we get to that, really that first month post-marathon, especially if it was a really big race for you, this is the time to relax. Please give me just at least 2 weeks of chill relaxation time. Some light mobility, yoga, things like that are totally okay, but no high impact activities for at least those 2 weeks. Then after that, you can start to add in some lower impact activities like biking or swimming. And I know biking is a little harder to do when it gets snowy. So I actually have one of those stands for my bike so that I can just use my road bike inside. I don't have to go out and buy a whole other piece of equipment. It's really nice, it folds up, so I can just do that inside. And if you are someplace where it's starting to get snow already, cross-country skiing is a really great low-impact activity as well, too. And I will always talk about doing other activities and doing other sports to become that well-rounded athlete. And honestly, it's just going to make you a better runner, better athlete in general. And I really do love that I can actually do all of those activities right on my same running watch on my Coros Apex, so I don't have to have another piece of technology. That month after the marathon is also a really good time to address any injuries that happened either during the race or during your training. So for me, if you've been following, I had some lower back issues in this previous year, and praise, myself actually, because I was the one doing the PT exercises. Thankfully, I was doing them and my back felt really good. So I am making sure that I am keeping up with those exercises so that I can continue to have a pain-free rest of the year and going into 2023. But this is the time to work on them, to dive a little bit deeper into maybe what was causing them. We have lots of different videos on our channel. Pretty much any running related injury that you've seen, we have it on our channel and ways to fix it. So maybe hit us up there for some extra mobility, some extra little strength training activities that you can start to be adding into your weekly schedule. And don't forget to celebrate a little, right? You did just run a marathon. That's insane and so awesome. So make sure that, you humble brag about it just a little bit. It's good for you. And think about how your training went, right? You're thinking about if any injuries occurred, what was the good, what was the bad? I always like to write a start, stop, continue list. So what do I want to start doing for my next marathon training plan? What do I want to stop doing? What was something that was negative in my training plan before that I just don't want to bring into this plan? And what do I want to continue doing? What was something that was working really well for me that I want to, make sure that I'm still going to be doing that? And write that out. It's a really good way to just do a quick little assess of that previous plan. And while you're in the mindset of goals and how things went, this is a great time to make a new goal for yourself. And maybe it's not running related, right? Because you want something to work towards during the winter, when you're still in that weird in-between stage. So for me personally, I'm going to put it out on blast right now. I'm going to put myself out there and say, for me, I'm going to do a strength goal because that's something that I've definitely been working on and I want to do 10 pull-ups consecutively unassisted. And that's a goal that I want to work towards for the winter, right? It's low impact. It's not going to really overexert me doing this training. And so it's just a nice little goal to have, especially if you're here like me in New England or anywhere where you get lots and lots of snow and running outside is a little dark, a little cold, not as fun sometimes. So I like to have an indoor goal that I can work on. And hey, strength training is only going to help me out in the long run too. I feel like that 6 months in between races is pretty common. So no matter what time of the year that you have this weird in-between stage, I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing for my 6 months, and hopefully you can adapt that and use it for your training. So as we talk that first month after the marathon, this is chill, this is relaxed, this is running on feel and intention. I have come back too quickly from races before because I felt okay, and then I start to get into the run and I notice that my body just doesn't have the energy, it doesn't have the power, it doesn't have the drive, and I'm really doing more harm than good to myself. So take a step back. I was doing about 2 runs, maybe 3 super easy, and one of those was like 2 miles with the dogs around the block. So I'm just taking it chill. You're giving your body the grace and the time to recover that it really needs. Adding in those things like swimming and biking, those low impact activities, so that I can keep my cardiovascular endurance up and still working that while not putting that impact on my body. And by the time I'm 3 months out from my race this year is Boston 2023, which I'm super excited to be back this year, I'm going to be ready, and my body is going to feel strong, but it's going to feel recovered in a way that I haven't been putting all this impact, and I'm going to be ready to, pun intended, hit the ground running. And it's not like I'm going to be starting at 0, but I'm not going to be starting in a burned out state. I'm just going to have this nice base training so that I'm ready to start tacking on the miles. I'm ready to add in those speedier sessions and hopefully be really recovered from my lower back and take care of that problem so that I can go into training feeling refreshed and ready to go. And if you do have races in that weird in-between time that are a little bit shorter, that's great because it can be like a nice little goal to work towards. I definitely wouldn't suggest a super long race, but if you're used to that type of training and maybe you're just going to use it as like a train through, as like a harder training day, and you're not going to go completely all out, that's awesome. If you do want to go completely all out, do make sure you are giving yourself that grace and recovery post-race before you start getting back into the training plan, just a little bit there so that you can still stay recovered, you don't feel like you're getting burned out from all this extra running, because I want you to get to your spring race or your next marathon happy and healthy and just absolutely crushing your goals. And I will let you in on this. We've created our app, Learn Experience the Daily Run. Yes, for people training for the 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon. But we know that these in-between spaces are weird. So we've created programs like the 30-day challenge and the runner strength plan. For this reason, it gives you options to do every single day where it's not going to burn you out, but just give you enough so that you can feel like you're checking off goals, maintaining fitness, and you're working towards something. So definitely check that out. I'll be in there this winter for sure. Hope to see you there. And if you're training for any races this spring, I would love to know. Love to see you at them. Until then, Coach Morgan is out of here.